Hi, and welcome to the Flute Talk Podcast, where we talk about all things flute. If you're looking for more tips or lessons from Amelie, please check out musigy.com for all the sheet music, transcriptions, albums, books, and flute lesson packages. That's musigy.com, MUSOGY.com. Also, if you're looking for posters, fingering charts, or merch, you can head over at our merch store at store.theflutechannel.com for all your flute needs. If you want to help us on a monthly basis, you can also consider joining us over at Patreon for as little as $2 a month. This helps us make more great content for you. Check the description for more info. Finally, if you're looking into buying a flute, please consider using the Flute Center of New York and use our code TFC for a 10-day trial in trying 3 flutes. Check the description for all the details. Now on with the show. Hi everybody, welcome to the Flute Talk Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Amelie.
How's it going, Amelie?
Good, how are you?
It's the first podcast of the year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year to everybody else in the Flute Channel community. Today we're going to talk about maybe a couple ideas about how you think of returning to flute after a long break, and I'll introduce them as well. So maybe you were thinking about it this week, so I can give it to you, or I can start it off.
You can start.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think with a lot of people are in this boat, for sure. So, a lot of people recently I've read a couple comments and emails, some people saying, I've been away from it 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, some people. And that's completely okay. There should be no, just thinking about it and say, I want to start back up is already a big, step forward. So, and then you have the internet and all these types of resources that kind of can overwhelm you. And we've also talked about that in the past. But, I would just say, if you're a person that likes structure, find a program, find a course like ours or something like that. But if you just want to kind of get into it and then get structure later, just start playing long tones, play a couple notes, those types of things. Try to get back that sound that you had when you were, when you started off playing the flute. Also, maybe grab some sheet music online of music you used to play back then or something similar. Things like that really can, lead you to the right direction. And obviously there'll be leaps and hurdles and discouragement, and also moments of pure bliss that you're having, that you're when you're returning back from a long break. But know that everybody falls into that type of not rut, but life comes into play, and you have to do other things, or you can't practice as much, or you completely separate yourself from the music because of whatever reason. But know that you can always come back. Know that there's really no time that you can't return to it. As long as you're in good, able condition, obviously.
Yeah. I've had students who have been have played a lot as teenagers and then stopped and came back. Sometimes, 30 years after, because they raised their family and had a career, and now they have a little bit more time.
Right.
Their kids are adults and all that. And we've had a couple of people at the flute festival. I remember one year we had a couple of people in that situation who were getting back to it. And usually it's associated with a lot of happiness to play music and to go back to that good feeling that they had as teenagers playing music and all that. Sometimes there's also a little bit of regret that they stopped music.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's normal. A lot of people talk about that. I regret if I had continued, I would be so much better now, because it's more difficult to get better, blah, blah, blah. But maybe just focus on what you're achieving now, because you can't go back in the past, obviously. I do that too sometimes. Maybe if I had taken this decision, but it's not really helpful. And just you can get better at any age.
Totally.
And just have fun. And there's a lot of ways to use your talent, and have it you can play with friends. Some people play in church or play in have a community of people who like to play together.
Totally.
Online, you can find people who like to play, or there's also some associations. There's some bands, and also sometimes finding a teacher that will help you. Because sometimes we have little issues and we don't see them.
Yeah.
And sometimes a good teacher can help you. Yeah. And like someone's saying in the comments, Debbie Lynn's Mellow Minutes Meditation is saying that she did that and bought our book and it helped. So something like that, like you said, having some type of structure, even if it's a beginner's book, just go through it very fast.
Oh, yeah.
But at least you remember everything you need to, or even maybe some stuff you didn't really learn. Because when you learn in high school, sometimes your teacher's not necessarily a flutist. And so you might have a couple of things that were not taught to you that maybe through another type of course you'll learn, and that might be very helpful.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I would just add, like you were saying, finding a band. If you're in a major city, in most places, I would say most major cities do have amateur bands, amateur wind ensembles or amateur whatever, any type of like ensemble that requires lots of flutes. So you have more chances of getting in. Even an amateur orchestra too could have positions available regardless of what instrument you play. But one way to actually find out if you can't find anything online is contact, let's say, a high school band teacher. They know everything that's going around in the city. They can lead you into someone who knows somebody who...
Sometimes repair shops too, or...
they know where the bands are.
The stores who repair wind instruments will know about those things.
For sure. And they can, sometimes there's an audition, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it's like a co-op, so everyone puts in a little bit to kind of keep up, to pay the conductor for the year or whatever. And you guys, there's all types of things like that.
There's also some organizations that do chamber music, so you send them recording or you do a little audition so they know your level, and then they make groups of chamber music with people that have the same level as you. And there's a lot of cool things out there. If you like playing with others, you can also become better just playing by yourself as well. It's also totally okay.
Yeah, there's also like, you can also check universities. I know at McGill they have a sight reading orchestra, which is not filled with musicians from the school. It's all amateur musicians from the campus or from outside. So you never know what there could be at those places. There could be things like that, and you're just sight reading through things for the conductors because the conductors need to practice. So don't, if you feel like you can read at that level, why not try it,
Yeah.
And for sure,
it's fun to have like goals sometimes, like to play something with someone or, but it's also like some people, for them, weekly flute lesson or bi-weekly flute, like every 2 weeks or something, will also give them a goal to be like, oh, I have to prepare this study for my teacher, or I have to, but you can also make your own goal and be like, next Monday, I'll record myself playing those things and see where I am. There's ways to,
Oh, for sure.
I would say if you hadn't played in a while, it's better to go back a bit further, like a bit more beginner, and get fast on, fast to the level that you used to have, than to try to skip steps. I would say that would be preferable.
Yeah, and like also I was just thinking off the top of my head, like, a lot of us want to think like, what level are we at when we come back? Like, oh, where am I? Am I really at beginner? Am I really at intermediate? Am I really at advanced? Or, am I at grade 1 RCM, Royal Conservatory of Music grade level? Am I at grade 6? Am I at grade 8? Am I at ARCT? What level am I at? It's good to kind of maybe, like you said, have a lesson with somebody so they can kind of see and assess for you and tell you kind of where you're at, so they can tell you, try with these things first and then gradually progress to this. Because if you're not coming from a music background, like college or even lessons or whatever, it's hard to kind of rate where you are, So I would encourage to kind of, there's so many resources out there for teachers that you can have one lesson with and just get a help with those types of things. I think that could be could be a good idea to assess, because then we get trapped into the, onto the internet, like, oh, I'm going to try this piece, and then this piece is too difficult for me, and then get discouraged, or perhaps you find something too easy and you're kind of being held back a little bit.
And also sometimes some people, when they're learning on their own, I noticed, and even students that I have, beginners, let's say, they will say, oh, I can't go to the next lesson because it's not perfect yet. And I'm like, no. Don't wait until it's perfect, because you're building, and continue. And maybe in a month, you'll go back to that lesson and you'll be like, oh, I can do it so easily now. Because if you really wait for perfection, it will take forever to progress. Because let's say a second octave G is high for you and you stay there until it's easy. No, no, no. Continue to learn the other notes, and then the second octave G will become very easy for you. That's what I would.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I would say. So don't wait to get perfection. Just continue your progress. Continue your.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing, you become so much better that the stuff that used to be hard is easy, and that's just how you push your level forward. So that's also, I think sometimes people are too perfectionist and they wait too long on one thing. Like, move on.
Yeah. And like, maybe I was just also thinking, like, again, back to the internet, there's so much information you get barraged with. And, not one method can fit everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's a famous one that whenever I search for that stuff, I always get Moises getting back into shape. I'm like, that's a completely different person, So I would kind of look back inwards on the player themselves. And like you said, practice those things that you really enjoyed first. Get back into feeling how you felt, when you were playing a lot or playing when you were happy, when you were really having fun. And then, slowly go into finding, a program or something that has a bit more structure, tone, like our program, like our beginner program, and even our new intermediate program that's going to come out this week, which is really for the truly it's the book that is for those people that are coming back.
I think so too.
As opposed to the beginner one, which is really a starting one. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. The beginner one can still be good, if you want to make sure you have all the basics covered. Because like I said, if you played in bands, sometimes there's little things that might have been overlooked.
Right.
And in the beginner book, I go through the basics. But there's also videos on our channel about like posture and all those things. So that can be also taken care of there. But yeah, the intermediate book is very cool. Like you have you start exactly where it ended with like 2 octaves, and then you learn all the other notes, and you build your technique, and you learn a bunch of scales and arpeggios, and like I think it's some technical exercises that are pretty good to build the technique, and studies to build your sight reading and musicality, and some pieces. Like, I'm pretty happy about it. It was a lot of work, but can't wait this week to have it out. Yeah. And I think that will be very helpful.
Totally. And like you said, like if you're looking for structure and stuff like that, really try to maybe look into this one, because like I said, there's a lot out there, but what's the difference is that it really comes from us and from the community and how you've dealt with students live and in person and online and stuff like that. And you've really developed this program to really work well for most people.
Yeah, but also it's because like I felt like when you get to a certain level, you have to get a book for sound exercises and one for technique and one for studies. And
like the Trevor Y book. Right. Yeah.
I thought, why not have one book? And also like by, if you're learning on your own, it's difficult to know, okay, now I'm at that level. Which studies should I play?
Right.
How many a week? How many, what piece should I play? Yeah. What scales should I practice? Right. So it's all by lesson. Lesson 1, you learn this. Lesson 2, you learn that. So you have breathing exercises. It's all inside the lesson. Right. So you don't have to make your own program with... No, it's all like, how do you say... everything is ready for you. Like it's
it's a course. It's really a course as opposed to something like, let's say, Trevor Y. It's segmented. If you buy only one book, or if you buy the omnibus, even an omnibus is actually quite more intense than just having one book. Say you just had the tone book, then you'd just be working on tone all the time and not studies, not any of those things.
And even the tone book can be
know.
confusing because there's a lot of things and you're like, okay, how do I structure my practice with that?
Yeah,
but with our method, it's like this, it's structured for you. You just
go through each lesson
and you go through the lessons and you'll build. And then at the end, there's a recapitulation, like a summary of all the stuff that you've learned that you can go back to,
And there's a lot of etudes, a lot of fabulous etudes from Garibaldi that are really, really good and really are progressive. Like, you know, it's quite something. But yeah, like finding structure, there's, like you said, a lot of other programs, they're segmented and not structured. because it's like you need this. It's like courseware. You have the course pack, but you need the professor to go through
because
it.
that's the tradition of learning an instrument. You would have the teacher who would say, okay, in this book do this week, and in that book do that, and the teacher would structure your work for you. But if you don't have a teacher, like, how do you structure your work? That was the thing. Plus, when I teach privately, I like to use the book. I even started using it, even if it was not released yet.
In beta,
with my intermediate students. And it's amazing because we just follow that, and the students have everything there. I don't have to make them buy 5-6 books,
Right. And
or give them copies. Like, it's all in. It's really easy to use, and I like it.
Yeah.
That's the way I teach. So I just put it together.
And then you can still buy all those other books. It's no problem. They all have their own value, but it's like it's really segmented. And so it's isolating one aspect of flute playing. So it's really for deep analysis. I always found those books as deep analysis type of things.
Like with more advanced students, I always encourage like getting Tafanel and Gobert and all that stuff. But I also tell them which one to practice this week. Because if you just get 100%. Tafanel and Gobert journal, the daily exercises, it's like, there's 17? You don't do that every day. They call it daily exercises.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it's not how.
Maybe back in 1920 in Paris, when you were having a coffee and you were walking down the street and you went, and all you had to do was go to your practice room because there was no television. There was a little bit of radio, and you went to the opera at the night. You had a lot of time on your hands. Nowadays, it's a bit.
I don't know. I don't think it's the best way to progress to do
but some people
too
have.
much. I think it's better to choose one and repeat it.
Yeah. Plus the brain can only do so much. Our brain hasn't changed in 100 years. Like it can almost make our brain mushy. Like with and over.
It depends where you are. It depends if you're keeping your level or if you're trying to improve. If you're trying to improve, you need to choose less and repeat them so that you learn the motor patterns, but whatever. It's just, those books are totally good. I have them. I use them.
Sure.
And like I said, some of my students also have them, and it's totally good.
Oh yeah.
It's just that method is structured for you. Basically, that's just the difference. Plus you have videos, which you didn't have with those books, and you have some audio, so you can hear the pieces and you can know how it sounds. So
I've also noticed, like, even with other instrumentalists that I've met in the past, like, just in regards of books and material, like, some, maybe I'm wrong, but I know for clarinet and for violin or for trumpet, like, there's only really one book. But for flute, I've always noticed there's like dozens of books. There's so many. When I went to NFA a long time ago, there would be so many books and methods of different things, little snippets of stuff. It was overwhelming. And I remember most flutists had at least 20 books in their bag. They had so many different books.
And I remember when I was
Practice
learning the flute, I felt like if I didn't do all these exercises, I was going to miss out on something and maybe not have the perfect technique. And then I realized, no, you just need to do a couple of those very well. Get them to 120 or, on the metronome, get them fast. And then once you have those reflexes, that you don't have to think anymore, all your scales, your arpeggios, your stills and thirds and all that. And it's easy, and you can do them on the whole flute, on the whole registers, on your whole.
Yeah.
Then, no, you don't need to do all the exercise. Like, you might have your favorite books. It's totally fine, but I don't think you need to have everything.
No.
Just keep,
Yeah.
But it's okay, like, because people develop things they feel, oh, that's very good. When I teach, it works. Let's make a book with that. But you can't have all of them. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's so much.
It's too much.
Yeah, just kind of like to roll back, like I said, when you're coming back from like a long break, even if it's 1 month or 20 years, a lot of the ways to come back are very similar. So don't feel overwhelmed or feel like, oh, my path to getting back is not possible. Well, no, just approach with little steps, little aspects, play some favorite music, all those types of things like that. Those things can really go a long way. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. And you don't have to do like don't do 2 hours in a row, and like do a little bit at a time, because your muscles are also going to get back to like it's different muscles that you're not necessarily using that much. So little short practices more often than one long for
Let's go to the questions now. There's a couple. If you have any questions, this is also the time at the last Sunday of every month is to ask the questions as well. So if you have any die-hard questions, let us know in the comments. Or if you're listening to this after, go to the YouTube video and leave a question in the comments, and then we'll try to get back to them throughout the month. Sarah wanted to know, what were the 2 study books we just mentioned? She just came right in the middle of the convo. Well, we just talked about our book, which is going to come out soon this week, which is the 20 Intermediate Flute Lessons.
Yeah. It's the follow-up of the beginner's book. Yeah. So we already had a method, and that's the second book, second volume of.
But we put some Garibaldi studies in there, which we had to kind of really deep dive research into finding these ones because they're very hard to find, and they're very old. They're they're I think almost 200 years old, but
those
still
studies,
they're so amazing,
beautiful.
They're very beautiful. What other things we mentioned? We mentioned Trevor White's book. We mentioned
Tafanel and Gobert daily exercises.
That's probably what it was.
That's a very good book for it's not a study book. It's really technical exercises. Yeah. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. I would say EJ1, EJ2, EJ7, EJ4. Pretty much my favorite. EJ6 if you want to start the scales in thirds and sixths.
Right.
But don't do all of them at once. That's what I was doing. I was saying pick one, practice it a lot. Even pick one page or 2 pages and practice that for a week. Then another page. Then go back to what you already did, because it's not because you've done it for a week that
But it's also cool. I knew a lot of people who memorized them, so they didn't really need the book. So when they went and did stuff, and they just played them, not all the whole book, but one part, like you said, that can also isolate as well too. It's easy to memorize
because it's always the same.
Yeah, it's the same cycle. It's very
you just change the key and
I guess remember, even Reichert 7 daily exercises.
That's a nice one.
Just the first page, I think, is quite well written.
I like the number 1. It's it's scales and arpeggios. It goes yeah, and they're very melodic ways to play scales.
Yeah, they're melodic. Totally. Yeah. The progression is very melodic.
Yeah, that's a nice book too.
Yeah, but if we didn't get the right one, find where in the section. You can always roll back, in fact, to where you just came in, because the video is being recorded. Thanks for the question. What else do we got here? Oh, like you said, Maria was saying too. That's why, just to roll back on, finding balance when practicing and finding a thing. Maria was saying that's why she's looking forward towards the book. She wants to get the balance right. At the moment, I keep going up different paths with no real direction. Yeah, that's what the internet, and also buying different books, because a lot of books aren't, like you said, not leading in the right direction or in any direction.
It's not progressive.
Progressive, right?
Whereas what we did is progressive.
Yeah.
It's not usually I teach that first and then this, and because I've been teaching the flute for a long time, so now I kind of it was a lot of work. It's not even we're gonna finish it now, but little things need to be finished. But it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was 2 years. We immediately started, in fact, just after the first book came out in December 2019.
Yeah, we didn't do that full time, obviously, but still,
that's why
it's a lot
2
of
years.
It's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work, and just putting everything together and making it. And we're really, really, really proud of it. And then we'll be releasing a trailer, and also to our newsletter for all the people who previously bought anything from Musigy, where you'll find the program and all the courses. We'll be sending out a newsletter to everybody saying it's out as well that way. So you will not miss out on that for sure. Well, we got some good questions here. Chris wants to know, hey guys, I used to play the flute back in middle school and planning to get back into it. I was just wondering, how can I upgrade my current student flute without spending much? What a great question. We haven't done a question like that in a couple months.
Well, first, maybe it just needs a nice little visit to the technician.
Yeah, I think it would be wise.
If it's well adjusted, it might sound okay.
Yeah, and it's always good just to have a good B flute if you want to, bring it back to spec, bring it back to when you first bought it. It's always a worthwhile investment because if you ever want to resell it too, that's good too to invest in a newer flute. It could be possible, but
sometimes it happens. Like it happened to one of my students. She brought her flute, and the repair person said, even if you put a lot of money, it's not going to sound good, and it's going to cost you so much. So she just bought another flute.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's like sales for her. There was a sale at the store for all the Yamaha stuff, like for that weekend. So she went in that weekend and she got a very good deal. Like, look around.
Yeah.
There's always the Flute Center of New York. They have a big selection.
And if you're ever having trouble finding a place that's really local, message us in the comments and maybe we can help finding where you are. And I know some people have messaged us like in Malaysia or in other places like that. And there are shops, there are places to look, and we can definitely help you I can definitely help you find those things for sure.
Yeah.
But, there are flutes that are $1,000 that are really nice flutes, really okay flutes to be playing with and stuff like that. I know Trevor James makes some, Yamaha makes some, Yamaha makes 300, 400 series flutes that are really nice, that are good upgrades from the 200 series flute. Trevor James makes some good flutes too that you've done a review on. It's a little bit more expensive, maybe $400, $500 above, maybe $1,400.
Yeah.
I mean,
like Sonare were pretty good,
but they're expensive.
But they're more expensive.
Yeah, they're in the 2,000
Like it
range.
all depends. Like, what's your budget? Like, let's say if you want to deal with the Flute Center of New York, you can use our code TFC. It helps us out, and also you get some perks. But they really know their stuff. If you give them your budget, or you go and check, maybe have a couple of flutes in the same range, and try them to find your.
But know that the budget there really starts at around $1,000. If you're looking under that, they don't really have much.
Yeah.
So again,
maybe under
not
that,
always the best.
Maybe under that, Jean-Paul was pretty impressive.
Right, Jean-Paul.
Under $1,000, it was pretty good.
But most music shops have good flutes under $1,000. We live in a really good time right now that if you're dealing with name brands like Pearl, Yamaha, Trevor James, any of those, but if you find some that are really, you don't remember what these names are, or you find like a Brio used to be pretty good. I don't know if you can find any more of those, but follow that rubric of names.
And sometimes there's good used flutes too that you'll get for a cheaper price, and they're still very good.
That's when you have to, when you deal with used online or even used at a music shop. At a music shop, they usually have their technicians bring it up to the playing spec. And if you do it on eBay, you gotta be a bit more. You have to pay attention to a lot of details on how the flute was made in the description, like how it's been repaired. I mean, and ask those types of questions, like when was the last time it was repaired,
or overall, because like if the pads are all old, it's gonna cost you a lot to change all the pads. And
like dents, if there's dents on it, like visible dents, little dents here and there you can barely see, don't really do much for the flute in terms of making the change sound. But some people, they don't take the photo of the dent in the back of the flute, ask for complete photos, all those types of things. It's a little bit more work, but you can get a $500 flute then, maybe. You never know. And eBay is full of them for sure. And also check their rating, make sure they're legit, because a lot of people steal flutes and then sell them on eBay. And you have to be really careful that you have to make sure that person's a reputable seller, all those types of things. Look at those types of things, and you can really find a good deal sometimes.
That's cool.
For sure. Hopefully that helps. Budget yourself, and like I said, flutes are built very well right now at every range. So it's really about trying a couple if you can. If you have that luxury to go to a shop and try a couple, do that. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you have them delivered in your price range,
in your price
get
range,
a couple of different models in that same price range. There was also, what's the brand that one of my students bought? She was very happy about it. You told me about him. He worked for
who?
It's okay.
They were looking for a flute to buy?
One of my students bought a flute recently. She bought
Pearl?
No, it's a guy.
Dizao. Yeah, Dizao is a big, good flute maker.
They have good prices too for the quality. It's pretty good.
Yeah, he used to be, I think, with Powell, or one of the Boston flute makers, and then separated, moved on. and makes them in. I think he makes some of them. He assembles some here, and then some are assembled in China, back and forth. But quality control is very high. Just like I said, Singers Day, we just tried the alto flute. The alto flute video came out a week ago, like the alto flute review video.
It's impressive.
Singers Day, impressive.
For the price?
It's the cheapest alto flute, professional alto flute you can find. There's nothing cheaper. It's well made. Oh, yeah. Great pads, great sound. It's even a little bit more, for me, more ergonomic than your alto flute. It's a bit more wide.
Yeah.
Which
I prefer the sound of mine.
Oh, yeah. I prefer the sound, but I meant the feel.
But the feel is very good. And the sound is good anyways. Like, and plus, usually it's played in a flute choir or stuff like that. Like,
and
really,
three orchestra pieces, I think.
Yeah. So,
you know, and in a little bit of pop music
like,
and stuff like that. And jazz.
Are you going to spend 10,000 or 1,500? Yeah. Maybe if that would have been out, you know? Like, I would have wondered.
Especially if you're in like a jazz band and stuff like that, because like you might be playing in a crappy microphone that's not gonna shine, or you're gonna have a bad technician at the soundboard who's gonna make you sound crap. So no matter how good your flute is, you're gonna sound.
Are you gonna even hear the difference? You know. So but it was impressive.
It was very impressive. If you guys haven't seen that, go and check that video after. And I know they have flutes available for quick, shipping in the United States via their warehouse in Los Angeles or in California. They can send you the flute there pretty fast via Amazon, I think.
Do they make C flutes too?
They make every flute right now, and they're going to be hopefully sending us a bass flute. We'll have the prototype.
I'd be curious to try their C flute, their normal flute.
Their normal flute. Yeah, we should definitely touch with that. That I don't know. No. That I'm not sure. Yeah. But they make other instruments like saxophones and stuff.
Yeah. And Dizao, my student, was very impressed because she had a couple of flutes and that one was a bit cheaper, but it was her favorite, and she was like, wow, So try, sometimes, you can also look at the specs and, check some brands might be a bit cheaper for the same types of things you'll get, like whatever. You can check all that.
Yeah, exactly. What do we got here? We got Frederick the Great says, I started the flute when I was already playing euphonium and piano. That's amazing. What are some tips for people like me that don't feel like beginners but are not ready for intermediate stuff yet? Oh, okay.
Well, what I would do is I would go to the beginner book, but all the sight reading stuff, you skip it. All the music theory stuff that you already know, you skip it and you just go a bit faster in it, because you just have to learn the fingerings, how to hold the instrument, how to make a sound. Like you don't have to do all that other stuff. So that's personally what I would do with a student, because I've had a student 2 years ago maybe that was exactly in that situation, already knew music, but I still sent him our method, and we just skipped some stuff, like we skipped all the sight reading and rhythm, and we just did the flute stuff, and he went very fast because he was already a musician, but he didn't miss on the anyways, like usually the first few lessons will be very fast, but then at one point you'll have to work because it's still different fingerings and all that.
I saw two good questions, but I'll just jump back to this one. Aging Moon wants to know, she really liked the alto flute video. Was there a weight difference between the two flutes, given that they're made of different metal? You can say first, and I can say what I thought.
I don't remember.
I remember. The alto flute, the Singer's Day one, it's a lot lighter. I found it.
Oh, yeah, it was lighter.
It felt a lot lighter, surprisingly. But the mechanism and everything was, the mechanisms are silver, and then the body's like a nickel silver. You would think it's a bit heavier, but in reality, it's quite light, I thought, because...
Maybe the wall is a bit thinner.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's why the sound is a bit thinner, too.
I think it's just a fraction thinner than the Sankoi, because they modeled this alto flute that they made from Altus's professional... around that, Altus's professional alto flute, so the specs of that. So I found it really light. Like, I'm a bit stronger, obviously, or whatever. But and like I said, the keys are more spread out for the hands as opposed to Sankoi, which actually is a bit closer.
Yeah, but also the left hand was more like a C flute. It was
yes,
closer.
that's right. I remember you mentioned that in the
fingers
video.
were closer to each other, whereas in my sankyo, you have to spread your fingers a bit
Right,
more. So
exactly.
yeah, it's completely like it's different.
Oh, yeah,
but they're
it's
both
different.
very good instruments.
Totally.
One is very much cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Much cheaper, 10 times cheaper, in fact.
If money is not an object,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
but if it is,
Yeah.
maybe.
And like, yeah, you have a prima sankoi flute, but just the whole thing, sankoi is still prima sankoi. It's just how they distribute outwards, like different they mark different things differently. So don't think it's a completely different brand flute. I always get an email or two a month about, oh, I can't find prima sankoi anymore because at that time they sent out like that.
Flute, my C flute is a prima sankyo
as well, and so is their alto.
Yeah, and that model they don't make it anymore.
Neither of them they make it anymore.
Yeah,
and they were both made in Japan.
Yeah,
all that stuff. I actually got some info
because
about
I've had that flute for over 20 years.
Right. Mm-hmm.
23 years, I think.
Yeah, and almost the alto, almost 15, I think, at least.
Yeah,
it was purchased, I think, 2004
years or something. Yeah,
because I got information about it for the video, so that I can figure out from the people at Sankoi. That's very interesting. I saw a question further up. Debbie wants to know, how do you get faster with playing?
How you play faster?
Yeah, I guess how do you get faster with, like, I guess with technique and all those types of things,
Well, I would say pick some exercises, technical exercises, and repeat them a lot so that you don't have to think anymore between, instead of seeing each note, you see a bunch of notes like a word, and then your body knows where to go, how to do that, because it's not that difficult to play one note and the next note. What is difficult is to play the transition.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's what you have to work on. And so by repeating some patterns, they become easy and you don't have to think anymore. And that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
We have that in the intermediate book, some things like that. But a lot of the technical exercises that I took there are from EJ1 and the Tafanel and Gobert daily exercises. So you can start with that, EJ1, EJ2.
You really bring all those elements together.
It's just that I present it in a different manner so that it's a bit more easy to digest.
Yeah, and also to progress. Also,
it's more progressive and all that than if you just try to learn the whole thing. If you try to learn, let's say EJ1, don't try to learn the whole thing at once. Do one line, like 2 lines. Let's say 2 lines for a week. And then see how you feel. Then 2 lines. If it's very easy, then do 4 lines a week. But don't try to learn the whole thing at once.
No, exactly. Chris here says, he's like, I'm actually currently a clarinet player. Yeah, we get a lot of different players, clarinet players, saxophone players. And we just love to double on the flute. Once I get the money, I would buy one, since my current one's not in the best condition. Yeah, because you asked previously about that. Yeah, like it's, like you said, bring it up to a repair technician, see how much it would cost. Sometimes for students' flutes, it could be $200 to $500 to get it all the way back up to spec sometimes.
Wow.
Because you want to replace all the pads and all those things. Like for a real student flute, if it's a flute that's like from 1970 and it's a Bundy flute, it's going to cost a bit more because there's probably been so much neglect on the keys and has to be resurfaced, has to be rebent back. That all takes time and money. But yeah, the flute girl wants to know, I also see alto flutes that are made of nickel, silver. Is there any difference with the different metals? Sometimes, but it really is about the manufacturing process of the mechanism and the keys and how they react per different person, like one alto flute can sound different to another person who's practicing in your room. I used to go to Flute World and take another flutist with me, and we would both practice the same. We would try out flutes, and my friend would sound different than I would on the same flute that we both got. So, it's all different. Sometimes, like, I remember they used to make brass flutes in the 50s, and I tried one a long time ago, and it sounded so projected, like it was, in fact, so projected, like a trumpet would sound, and a lot of makers didn't want to make that because it was too piercing, so they went to silver and went to different things, as people do. So it all has different variables by the person,
Yeah.
I would say, right?
Like
And weight.
gold flutes are also more heavy and
They
like
can be, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it
A
depends also
little
on the
bit, no?
thickness of the metal and stuff. If
Yeah.
it's like a heavy wall gold, if it's this or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on
Yeah,
particular
because you have
things.
flutes that are 14, 16,
Yeah.
or even 12, but 12 is like the
Carats,
wall.
yeah. Yeah, carats usually mean softness in the metal, I guess.
No, but what I
or-
meant was the
Oh, yeah,
wall
the wall
thickness.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Some flutes are thicker than
Thicker
others.
millimeters than, yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, some makers do that. It's always fun trying a thin wall and a heavy wall and see how, how much energy needs to be put through into that flute to be able to get
The
sound,
vibration.
the vibration that you need,
Yeah.
But it's cool trying all of them. I would say there are differences. I would not say they're all the same, but there are differences for sure. Hopefully that helps. If you have more, if you want to dive in more, just let us know. What else do we got here? Yeah, the alto flute video, stuff like that. So I'm just going to talk about all the things we have. And then if you have any last minute questions, let us know in the comments and we'll get into those. But like I said, we have the book coming out hopefully early this week over at musigy.com. And that's where all of our beginner course is and some sheet music. And we're going to be adding more throughout this year. So that's musogY.com. And that's where we get all of our stuff there. If you want to get merch like our shirt that you're wearing here, Amelie, if you're watching here live or watching later, not live, you can go to store.theflutechannel.com. We got a lot of people buying stuff for Christmas and stuff like that. A lot of people bought the new water bottle, the Happy Practicing water bottle, and our flute poster as well. All those types of things. And we also have, you haven't worn it yet, but we have Mozart Concerto leggings, which is really cool. So Mozart D major, I think.
We didn't know what to do with that. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll do something soon. Something fun.
Something fun.
A music video or something where you're like, you're a complete music note. I don't know. It's kind of funny. You see music. And then what else do we have? We got that. Also the Flute Center of New York. If you're looking for a flute, we have all that information in the description. But to summarize, it's you can try up to 3 or 4 flutes for up to 10 days with them. And then you get an extended warranty if you do purchase with them. The extended warranty information is down in the description.
Yeah, it's all there. And if you use our code TFC, then that's...
You can contact them through email or you can call them. They're all flutists there.
That's our code.
That's
TFC,
our code, yeah.
It's us.
You can use that at checkout online or use it at checkout if you're talking to them on the phone and stuff like that. And they have flutists there working and for that purpose to find you your perfect flute. Yeah. And what else do we have? Studio's full right now at the moment. So no lessons right now for the studio. But
for now, I don't have time for more students. But maybe we'll do a little summer festival
we might do a summer festival thing if things go well. Either it's going to be online or maybe in person if everything goes well. But like I said, we'll be in Europe for most of the summer. So if we might do some little mini pop-up events
in Italy
or in France.
Or both.
Or both, yeah. So that's going to be information that's going to come out in the future. And that's really it. But the studio...
I think that's it. Musigy, the merch, and...
Yeah, all those things have helped us out tremendously. It helps build a more better videos and stuff like that and better product. And also Patreon. That's the one I forgot.
Oh.
Go to patreon.com if you want to tip us on a daily, or not a daily, on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
You can go to patreon.com/theflutechannel and there you can contribute that way. And we sometimes put stuff out there. You can also, we have more one-on-one conversations there through DMs and stuff like that. And it's a nice little community that we've developed there that gives us a little bit extra every month. And that helps us out tremendously. But you can give more than $2 a month. You can give as much as you want a month. But that's our entry level.
And there's also the chat. Sometimes people
obviously we have the super chat and stuff like that. When you're live here, we do this on the last Sunday of every month. If you join us every last Sunday of every month, you can contribute through super chat, which a lot of people do on occasion, and that helps us out directly right away. That goes right to us, and that's been a big help as well this past year. And so we're gonna be doing a lot more stuff like that in the future. And did we see any other questions here? I don't think there's any more.
No, I think
that's it.
We're good for today.
That's amazing. Well, thanks everybody. Like I said, join us again in February. Let us know if you have any questions. If you have any questions, go and leave them down below in the video if you're watching this live or watching this post, or if you're listening to this on your podcast app of choice. Go onto YouTube, find this video. If you have a dying question, let us know in this video or any flute podcast video. We have all that there. So yeah, thanks, Amelie. It was really great talking about, returning the flute, getting back into the swing of things, because it's January. People are coming back to playing, doing New Year's resolutions, all those types of things, which are all really, really nice things to kind of have a little goal and structure in those things. And I was really appreciative of your input.
Oh, me too. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the month. Bye.
Bye.